somebody came in and looked at this and was like, ding, spiff coming. I hate to say that, but it just gave me all these just that kind of that nasty feeling like, I think somebody screwed this guy.
Hey man, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, we're on the air. Everybody, welcome to the Make Trades Great Again podcast. Andy and Eric here. Andy and I were just talking before we record. That's our biggest fault here with this podcast is we get all of this talking done before we even hit the record button.
Well, we've only been at it for like 50 minutes.
Yeah, it's close friends catching up.
Yes, yeah, that's the majority of it. There's a lot of BS.
There is. So we had a cool conversation the other day. Well, cool, like interesting. I was intrigued by what you brought up, and so I'd love for you to just kind of set this up if you wouldn't mind.
Yep. So I get a call from a guy, new customer, never worked for him before. Really nice house, midtown. It's got a geothermal heat pump and dump system. And he indicates that someone has worked on it. It does not work currently.
Like someone worked on it recently?
Yeah. And so he initially had said last couple months. I took a brief look at it and I was like, yeah, okay, it's a geothermal heat pump. It's a water to water heat pump. He's got a gas backup. So that's the non-critical, right? So
okay.
He's been kind of trying to find somebody that'll work on this thing.
And of course, right now he's doing cooling. It's doing cooling, right?
Well, no, he doesn't do any cooling with it. So, because he's got radiant slab floors, so
okay.
The house is cooled with mini splits. So he's like, it's not super critical at this time. Yeah. He goes, it's I'd like for it to be we'd like to be using it. The challenge, and this is where his conundrum comes in. When he built the house 10 years ago, 15 years ago, something like that, 10, 12 years ago, geothermal was all the rage, right?
Sure.
Efficiency, it's going to be great. You put this thing in, you're going to save so much money. And he goes, I didn't really put it in to save money. So just a precursor that wasn't the reason behind it. He goes, I wanted to do my part, save energy, blah, blah, blah. And at the time I thought,
harness the energy the earth provides us.
Exactly. So he goes, I wanted to do my part. And he goes, we spent a pile of money trying to make this work.
Pile of money just to install it.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, he goes, it's been pretty much flawless for the last 10, 12 years. He goes, I've had little things, new zone valves and some, circulating pumps, stuff like that. He said, so he's kind of giving me this rundown and I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, it's a heat pump. If the refrigeration cycle works, right? Like all of the parts work in there and we don't have some major catastrophe inside, we should be able to fix this.
Yeah.
And I just told him that. I said, we could do a couple of things, I could pull the refrigerant out. We could, check it. So the questioning component is the contractor that came previously, 2 contractors ago, came in, the unit went down. Something happened, quit working. He calls for service. Technician shows up, looks at it, does a few things. And he goes, in my ignorance, he goes, I left and I wasn't really paying attention to what exactly the technician was working on. He goes, in my defense, I don't know what the hell he's working on.
The owner?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. He goes, I don't know what he's working on. Like, I don't understand this machine. I don't know why it works or how it works. I don't know what I'm even looking at. So I'm just standing there looking at this guy fiddling with this thing.
Sure.
And he goes, so I don't know all the terminology. I don't know the lingo, whatever. So guy says, long story short, he determines that the unit's low on refrigerant. Right. So
the tech
does. Yeah.
Yeah.
The system is a closed system. There's no outdoor condenser, nothing like that. It's all a package unit.
Mm-hmm.
So the guy adds 4 pounds of refrigerant to it.
Ooh.
And so
4 pounds
right there, I'm like, okay, maybe, if it's got a pretty sizable leak, could be low. It holds 7 pounds total, right? So it holds a fair bit of refrigerant. 410A. So the tech fires the unit up. Yeah, right, everything works. And the guy says, yeah, it worked for like 15, 20 minutes and then quit.
Okay.
Technician plays around with it a little bit and it was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's dead. He goes, I don't know. I don't know. It's not, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Charges the guy $700, $800 or something like that for an hour and,
And
4 pounds of refrigerant.
Yeah.
And says, we're going to have my salesman come take a look at it or come talk to you about it.
Yeah. Those sales guys.
So this company, bigger company here in the area, their model is, they've got technicians, they've got sales crew, and then they've got install crews. Very, very traditional, common for the HVAC and plumbing industry.
Yeah.
Anyway, so salesman comes, looks at it. Oh yeah. We can't get this anymore. We can't get parts for that anymore. They kind of, quantify why they want to replace it, and end all, $38,000. You get a new heat pump.
Oh.
And
$38,000.
$38,000. And the guy's like, wow.
What in the world are they going to have to change that's going to cost $38,000?
Well, I mean, a geothermal heat pump, you could pay $15,000, 15 to 18. You're just right out of the box for a good, a high end.
Yeah. To me, I'm going to go off for 1 second here. To me, that's the problem with Geo.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mother Earth, and everybody that supports this kind of technology. I do too. I think it's great, but like the equipment side of it isn't. But anyway, okay.
Well,
sorry.
So this is, and I don't know. I mean, like I said, I didn't see their proposal. I don't know if it was all encompassing, like let's tear out the buffer tank and the zone valves and the primary pumps and the controls and rebuild this whole thing. I don't know what they had figured in $35,000. So I'll preface that with that. It's possible it was more than just the heat pump being replaced. Anyway, so he's like, no, I got to think about it. Obviously not signing the go form today. So a month goes by and he finds another refrigeration tech to come look at it. Guy comes in, looks at it and is like, I don't know anything about heat pumps. This isn't what I thought it was, or what you would ask, whatever. He goes, but let me hook up my gauges and see if it seems like it's low on pressure. Right. And so keep in mind, this thing has not been running and at this point now, at least a month.
Okay. This is company number 2 to come out and try to figure out why this thing doesn't work. Okay.
Yep. And so the guy's like, I mean, if it's been sitting here for a month and it has like a sizable leak, that pressure is going to be low, possibly. Well, so he hooks his gauges up and he's like, whoa, you got something goofy here. There's 500 pounds of pressure in this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy's like, well, is that normal? And the refrigeration tech's like, I'm not working on it. I'm not touching it. Disconnects his gauges. He's like, this isn't my cup of tea, but something's wrong. And so that's where I come in. Is the guy calls, sets up an appointment. I went down and looked at it, and I didn't hook up gauges or anything to it. I'm just kind of looking at it going, I need to come down with a couple of recovery cylinders. I need to make sure I got plenty of nitrogen. Let's kind of just give this thing the solid once over and do some testing.
Yeah.
We'll weigh out the charge, whatever, and kind of start from scratch. I mean, it's a closed system, right? Pull the refrigerant out, pull it into a deep vacuum, pressure test a couple times, recharge. Let's see if it works. I had bumped after I pulled refrigerant out. I had started both compressors. They both seemed to work. I didn't obviously run them for a long period of time, but a few seconds anyway. They turn over. Compressors all ohmed out, correct? Insulation test was fine. I did an acid test, no acid in the oil. So I'm like, I don't know. I think we're all right. Anyway, while I'm recovering, what I'm expecting to be a charge of 4 pounds of refrigerant plus whatever was in the unit, I almost can't fit it into two 20-pound recovery cylinders.
No.
And the first one, immediately, my recovery cylinder pressure, within minutes of having my recovery machine hooked up, I'm at like 460 pounds, 480 pounds on the recovery cylinder. And I'm like, what the frig is going on here?
Yeah.
Screwing around, grab a bucket of ice, doing the whole ice test. And I'm like, we got something else in here. This isn't refrigerant, right? And
Nitrogen, maybe?
I thought, well, maybe they pulled the charge and filled it with nitrogen. Okay. But while I'm pulling this first 2-3 minutes of recovery, the accumulator and the compressors are frosting up. And I'm like, well, that's indicating to me that we're getting a change in pressure. We're getting, there's refrigerant left in this thing. It's not just whatever else it is. Anyway, kind of baffling. I screw around. It probably took me an hour and a half to get the thing pulled down in these two cylinders, let them cool off. It was getting super hot. It was just weird. Anyway, handful of different techniques, finally get the refrigerant out of this machine and start doing a little bit of testing, right? So, but while the whole time I'm doing this, I'm thinking like, what the heck happened here? Like whatever was added to this refrigerant system was not, almost like it was intentional, right? Like, I really early on got that feeling like somebody came in and looked at this and was like, ding, spiff coming.
Yeah.
And
I system.
I hate to say that, but it just gave me all these just that kind of that nasty feeling like, I think somebody screwed this guy.
Yeah.
And so, my natural thought at that point is, well, I need to evacuate this thing. I need to pull down I need to pull the system down and find out, is it tight, right? Like, can we actually recharge this thing responsibly and return it to service? Or is it, I don't know if they filled the thing with water, right? Or maybe the condenser coil's got a leak. But I kept going back to the fact that, it's got 470 pounds of pressure on both sides when I gauged up. And when I first started looking at this thing, the guy's like, oh yeah, a couple of months ago. So while I'm recovering the machine, and I'm talking to the homeowner, I'm like, try to get all the details, get a little more info. Like, what were they doing down here? Did they have a black cylinder or a big aluminum tank, like a scuba tank? Down here when they were doing that? He's like, no, it was just a smaller tank. He goes, I don't really remember what color it was, but wasn't yellow. It's because I'm thinking, well, maybe they just put recovery gas back in it. So maybe they put something that was contaminated into it or something, trying to figure out the logistic of like, oh, somebody screwed up, or was this a malicious thing?
Yeah.
And, he's like, no, I don't remember that. And I was like, okay, so they put 4 pounds in? And he's like, yeah. But he goes, you know what I'm noticing right now? You're recovering your refrigerant and you have a scale that you're measuring this cylinder with. He goes, they didn't use a scale. I'm like, why do they know what they put 4 pounds in there? And he's like, I have no idea. So, there's like just more and more of these things that are adding up. Somebody obviously bypassed this low pressure switch or this low temp switch.
Okay.
Which may have been the original problem. Anyway, it was about 5.5 hours that I got into this thing, right?
And he agreed to all that, like, just figure it out, I'll pay you.
His thought was, and he and I both came to it. I said, you know what, I could probably recharge this thing for $1,200, right? And I'm just kind of thinking on the outside, and I ended up doing a little less than that, with the hourly rates and the 7 pounds of refrigerant.
Yeah.
Could I have made more money? 100%. I could have probably charged the guy friggin' $4,000, and he'd still be happy at this point, right? Mm-hmm. So I eventually am able to evacuate the unit down into I think I ended up with a holding micron test at like 330. We had all kinds of weird things going on, refrigerant wise. And so I did started with the kind of triple evac, sweep with nitrogen, did that a couple times. I ended up doing it, I think 4 or 5 times.
Oh, wow.
And finally got down to the point where I was like, okay, we're down here. I'm relatively confident after a standing nitrogen test and a holding vacuum test that we don't have any leaks. We don't have like a ruptured water coil. We don't have, something that's just, puking refrigerant out in the system. Anyway, so figured, you know what? At this point, I don't even know if this stupid thing works, right? I mean, it could have bad reversing valve. There's a handful of other components that could be defective on this thing in addition to the compressors. And recharge it and fire it up, and almost immediately froze the ground loop coil or the ground loop heat exchanger. And I'm like, whoa, what the heck's going on here? Start backing things off, and I could hear it, and I'm like, what the heck? Well, come to find out, somebody's closed off half of the ground loop.
Oh, so you couldn't pull
so
enough.
I couldn't get water through it.
Yeah.
And after looking, I'm like, look at this. We don't have a flow switch. There's no flow switch on this model. So, like, God dang it. So now I got to froze up.
It's going to run, but it doesn't have flow through the full flow through the system. Okay.
Going to pull all the heat available out of that ground loop, the water that's in the braze plate, and then it froze that. Well, it didn't break it, so I obviously was listening. But so this is a 5-ton unit, 2 compressors, and the stage delay is set to like 4 seconds. So I guess, in the amount of things that were going on that I was trying to pay attention to when it started up, I didn't recognize the second compressor had come on, because they were sounded the same right out of the start.
Yeah, and 4 seconds is like, nothing. You don't even have time to react to that.
Right.
Take you longer to shut her down.
Right. So I'm looking at it, and so that's the second thing. That at some point someone had moved the second stage compressor to start with the first stage. And then there's a time delay in there that's factory, but it was turned all the way to minimum. And so I kind of looked around with it. I was like, all right, well, because they don't use it in cooling, I don't know. I was able to energize the reversing valve, restart the compressor, use the compressor to thaw the heat exchanger out, and found this valve that was closed, opened the valve, got flow through it, found 2 other valves in the process that were closed, like kind of around the back side of this thing, just just little things that I'm like, no, you know what? If I were trying to safe this thing off, I'm not just closing one valve, right? It's a circuit.
Yeah.
If you were worried about safing this machine off, you would have closed off both valves, going in and out, disconnected made the ability for the thing to not run, like pull a wire off the compressor, something. And none of that was done, and so I'm like, I don't know, some stuff's just a little weird. So long story here, right? Here we are 18 minutes into this.
Long story longer.
Right. What do you, I know the VP of operations at this company. I've worked with him outside of a personal side of things. I've been involved with him on a couple of different events.
Yeah.
Nice guy, right?
Yeah.
I have respect for him. I don't think this is the type of company that he instills and tries to run. Question. Do you, as a competitive technician, call this dude and be like, hey, I went and looked at this project, and I'm pretty sure one of your technicians sabotaged this guy's equipment?
Well,
for the sale.
Yeah. So we talked about this a few days ago, and gave me a little bit of time to think about it, and I did. I thought about this, and it's tough. And I even talked with a couple friends, and just to get their take on not the whole story, just like the very abbreviated crib notes, right?
Yeah.
And I even talked.
Let me
like
pause you
ChatGPT.
for a second.
Yeah.
Just to throw one tidbit of information because I didn't put this in.
Oh, okay.
After recharging, turning the time delay up, and getting water flow, the system works fine.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, good ad there. So everybody.
Yep.
So we're back to we got heat if we need it. Right. Okay.
Right.
Good thing it's August and we don't.
Right.
Although I'd love to need heat in August, to be honest with you, because that just smells like success and money.
Sure.
It's tough. You don't want to jump to conclusions, right? So you didn't. I mean, you just have to go with your gut and the data, like the true, like what's in front of you.
Yeah.
And so a couple things like the valves were closed. They don't close themselves.
No.
The bypass of the low temperature sensor, like the alarm or the safety switch, that doesn't just happen.
Yeah.
If it were failed and they diagnose it as a problem, bypass it just to see if they can get it running, that's one thing. But if you bypass any kind of safety on any kind of equipment, and admittedly, I'm not a geo guy, so okay. Sure. I'm barely even capable of doing any kind of, refrigerant system. But if you're bypassing safeties and you don't put them back in play with either new parts because they're needed, or you're just testing and to see if something was the problem and process of elimination, and you leave that in play like that, right there, that either says that you're like you forgot something or you did it on purpose. Because like you shouldn't walk away from that. Okay, so and the customer knew nothing about it, right? Like more or less.
Yep.
That sounds like something that, like, if you bypass a safety, that's going to shut the system down. Wouldn't you think that, like, that's one way to show that, oh, look, it doesn't work. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you don't want to jump to those conclusions. So you did all your homework. And after talking with some friend, a friend of mine, looking at chat and thinking about this for a couple of days, I'm like, okay, so the approach has to be diplomatic.
Yep.
And I think I know where you're at on this, but obviously I'm going to give you time to say that. But like, you don't have like solid proof. That's the problem. And it's not as if you should have to rely on the customer to tell you exactly what went down, but you tried. You're like, hey, do you remember this equipment? Did he have this? And then the customer's like, well, I don't even think that they had a scale. No, you don't know if they had a scale or not. The customer just was like,
may not have recognized it.
Right. Might have looked different than yours. Right.
Yep.
So, that's tough. It's like, it's almost like you'd have to say like, hey, you call up the owner and just say, I just want to give you a heads up. I was out on this job. You guys had been there before. I noticed something unusual at the unit. More or less framing it as like professional courtesy rather than
maybe you might look into this and ask a few questions and
instead of an accusation, right?
Yeah.
It's tough. That's kind of where I was at when I gathered my thoughts on it, because I too have found myself in situations where my head went immediately to, after listening to a customer, looking at the system I'm in front of, typically like a boiler, or maybe something like more technical, like a tankless water heater, like something that takes some knowledge and some troubleshooting and some equipment and experience.
Yeah.
When I look at that, and I know the feeling. My head has went, boom, this is what they did. I know what they did. Or, and I want to accuse, but I haven't found myself in a situation where I made the phone call like you're considering,
Right.
I want to ask you this though. What is your goal though? In your head, is it like, I think I should do this because it's the right thing to do? Or like, what are you hoping to achieve in the end?
Well, I mean, at this point, I think all of us that have respect for the industry, right? Plumbing, HVAC, boilers, hydronics, electrical, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
We all have general interest in the well-being of the industry. And
well-being meaning you want the customers to trust us.
Yes.
You don't want it to.
Yes. It's hard enough to walk into somebody's house and be like, hey, your boiler is dead or your water heater is dead, right? and not have people have this generalized feeling like, oh, great, here's another one of those guys
that's trying to sell me something.
8 years old and we don't work on 8-year-old equipment. It's dead, right? The industry is absolutely chock full of companies that model is sell them a new one. And, in some cases, that may be the best thing. I'm not going to argue that it's not ever the right thing to do. I'm going to say, though, that there's a lot of times when technicians, I don't even know how to preface this, technicians today are less technician than they are salesmen in a lot of cases.
Well,
and that's a business model.
It's incentivized.
Yes, it's a business model. Drive up that ticket, get that sale. I get it.
We've talked about this a lot, you and I, either on the podcast or private. My thoughts on that aspect are I'll be pretty clear on that. From a business standpoint, it takes less investment from the management, from running the business, training wise, to train your people how to be successful in replacement sales kind of thing, in that tactic, than it is to train them to be better techs.
Yeah. Well,
I think less time. It's straightforward.
You need more better techs than you do salespeople at that point, because repair is going to be harder than replacing in some cases.
And I'm not defending the practice. No. I'm very much, you know me. I kind of just say it like it is, or I say what I feel, and I feel like I've thought about this, and I don't do it this way, but I feel like it's kind of obvious. It's just easier to train your people to say, you hit this benchmark, it's 10 years or it's 12 years and it's a forced air furnace. Yeah. And if it's at year 13, we're not putting in a new blower and board, or we're not replacing that heat exchanger. It's going. Well, in reality, these equipment, like it or not, can last a lot longer than 10, 12 years. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's part of it. It's part of what I guess I'm looking at. In this particular case, guy he's got two options. He can shut this thing off indefinitely and run on gas, right?
Yeah.
He could replace whatever was proposed for $35,000 or $38,000, whatever it was. Or he could pay me $1,200-ish to do some troubleshooting and some diagnostics and maybe make the thing work again. And to my knowledge, I've talked to the guy a couple of times since. We have a new low temp sensor or low temp switch coming.
So you can get parts for it, huh?
That's the thing is, so herein lies the secondary part of your comment of it's easier to train salespeople than it is to train technicians. Many technicians today have the stuck mindset that I'm working on a Navion, therefore I must put Navion parts in it. I would agree on that.
Oh, yeah.
Navion parts there are no generics. There's no, whatever. Okay, fine. That said, Renai is the same way. Lochinvar, mostly the same way.
Yeah, you get outside of that forced air and that refrigeration stuff, and it's pretty much like it's a part for part.
Yeah.
Very much so.
And I'm fine with that. I'm totally fine with that. This, however, is not that.
Okay.
It's got two Copeland scroll compressors. It's got a whatever Parker reversing valve, right? It's got some sort of defrost control board that probably, if I would have looked at the serial or the number on it, it's probably a generic defrost controller.
Probably find it on eBay.
Probably find one on eBay.
Yeah.
It's got two contactors. It's got a couple of time delays and a couple of solid state relays and a transformer.
And then everything else is outside of the box.
Yeah. It's got
circulators and stuff like that.
All the low pressure and high pressure switches, those are all generic, right? And this is something that's different. You and I came up in an era through the trades working on older boilers, right? How many Honeywell Aquastats did you put in? Right, Aquastat relays.
How many ignition boards?
How many Honeywell S8610U ignition controllers or S whatever the frick they are?
Yeah, standing pilot, spark ignition.
Right.
Yeah,
gas valves.
Yeah,
right. I still carry a universal gas valve.
Hell yeah.
right? But there's a lot of technicians out there right now that would walk into an older Burnham cast iron boiler and
Just
go,
look at it
"Ooh,
and say it's old. It's got to go.
it's old. That we got to replace this. It's got a bad gas valve." Right? Call Burnham, right? You call your Burnham rep and go, "I need a gas valve for this." Geez, they haven't made that boiler in 25 years. I guess we can't get a gas valve. I mean, why? Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Johnstone's got 600 of them on the shelf, and they're $61.
Right.
Go pick up a standing pilot gas valve. It's 200, and you got a 290,000 BTU capacity, and it's step open. Perfect. Done. Pop
But
one in, and away you go.
it's that knowledge that isn't being.
It is.
This isn't a conversation about that. Like, we could go on and on about how we're old and we know better, but that's not what it's about. It's about, like, do you make that call? You're in a spot where you got to look out for the customer, but is looking out for the customer include, like, calling that other company? Or, I mean, I'm not saying don't do it.
No,
I'm actually wondering, what do you think you're going to do? I know you're
I'm probably going to give him a call.
Okay.
I'm probably going to give him a call. And I thought I'm going to wait until next week. And here's the reason why I'm going to wait till next week.
Yeah.
I want to make sure the customer doesn't call me and say, "Hey, I've been playing with it and it doesn't work now." Right? Because I don't want to make the phone call and be like, "Hey, blah, 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 blah," and then have the customer go, "Well, in fact, we evacuated that unit and did this and that and the other and did whatever test, and we found this." Right? Well, none of the notes that the customer currently has reflect that.
Yeah, it doesn't indicate that they did what
Doesn't
they could
indicate
do.
that.
Yeah.
It was very, very brief description of what was done. Nothing about the closing of the valves, nothing about disconnecting the low temp switch. And I don't even know. Maybe it wasn't even this technician that disconnected the low temp switch. Maybe that's been that way for 10 years.
Well, do you think that they might have did it like on startup or something?
Right.
Yeah, maybe it was summertime. They're like, we need it to heat.
Yeah.
I wonder, do you think that if you contact this company, like, I guess it's a possibility. It's not your opinion is what the answer is to this question, because you don't know. But do you think that this company's then going to be like, well, okay, thanks for the heads up. And then I think that this company's going to contact the customer and, like, try to maybe solve the problem again or something,
I don't know.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, are they going to go back
Could
and
be
be like, I think this company's calling us. What gives? Or, you know what I mean? Like, are you inviting that? Or do you even,
I guess at
you say
this
something
point,
to
I
the
don't really care.
homeowner? You know what I mean?
Yeah, at this point, it doesn't matter, because if that other company reaches out to the homeowner and says, "Hey, we want to make right,"
Yeah.
right, or whatever, maybe they do, maybe they don't. I'm suspicious that they won't.
Yeah, because it's kind of hard to defend yourself in that scenario. They probably are going to walk away from it and go, okay, well, hopefully they don't call us.
Yeah, I don't know, and that's the thing. And like you said, you would ask, what are you hoping to gain out of this? I have no idea. Maybe the fact that the conversation is that around the next sales meeting, that guy walks into the group and says, "Hey, listen, guys and gals, you're out there, you're trying to do this. Yes, we've instructed you to, if the customer needs a replacement, sell them a replacement, right? Don't create a replacement."
You might have that conversation with the owner too. Like, when you call them, they might just say, "Hey, look, Andy, I hear what you're saying. Mistakes are made, but we tell our guys if under these parameters." And I guess you have to accept that. I mean, you don't have to like it.
Yeah. Yep. I mean,
you know what I mean?
My alternative is I don't say anything and nothing changes.
That's for sure. Hey, actually, let's leave it there. That puts a cap on this conversation. You're right on that.
Yeah.
I kind of ignored that whole line of things. That actually just, you blew my mind right there. Look at that. We're 35 minutes into this, and I like that, actually. I don't say anything, it doesn't change. And
we can apply that to so much in life right now.
Well, if you always do what you've always done, you're always going to get what you've always got, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. I know I live my life by that. little. I mean, there's a lot of things I need to live my life beyond that statement. But I keep that one in mind. If you follow, if you always do what you've always done, you're always gonna get what you always got. All right, dude. I appreciate this conversation, and I appreciate you. Open it up. Look, sometimes guys listening, please, guys, gals. When I say guys, it's everybody. I think it takes a little bit of courage to bring this kind of stuff up and talk about it into these microphones and just be like, I don't know who's going to hear this, but hey, but at the risk of, saying
as far as I know, this guy listens.
Well,
or at least several of his technicians do.
I'm not even thinking that. I'm just thinking like, this is honest right here. This is honest conversation about stuff that we encounter and we have to think about, not just as business owners, but just people out in the field. Like, how do you do the right thing? And I can see that this is a struggle that I have not really tackled myself. And I'm just thankful for the conversation. So I hope everybody listening enjoyed it. And if you did, please hit the like button, subscribe, whatever it is you got to do to keep this going. And, if you haven't already, you can rate us in your podcast app. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can follow Andy over on Instagram at Mick_Plum. You can follow me at Mechanical Hub, just about everywhere too. And man, this is a good one.
I'm curious, if anybody's got feedback, if you've run into this kind of situation, you've done it before. Maybe I guess I'm curious if you work for a company whose motto is it's 10 years old, replace it. How do you sell that? is it just about the dollar? Just curious.
Yeah, we all kind of operate off that a little bit here and there too. We have to take it into consideration. We could go on and on about that whole, water heaters, furnaces, hey, it's this old, look at your softener. It's original to the house. It's 20 years old. It's got to go. Yeah.
Just a different scale.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, dude. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Awesome. Have a good one.
You too.